Hey, Dragon Dreamers. Gina, Virginia, Casella here. And welcome to Story Species, Story Medicine, Extra Strength. When we share our stories, we give and receive medicine. One of the best ways to heal is with the earth. And that's exactly what we do with each other right here on Story Species, Story Medicine, Extra Strength. Ready to take your medicine? Hey, Dragon Dreamers, Gina, Virginia, Casella here, and welcome to Story Species, Story Medicine. Today, Gina, Virginia, Casella, yours truly, I get to be your guest, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Dragon Dreams Oracle, how it all came about. And if you're interested in being a guest on Story Species, Story Medicine, please reach out to me, GinaVirginiaCasella.com. I got my website there in the chat, and I got everything set up here for you. I wanted to give myself a little bit of a formal introduction here. I did buy a stylo, those of you who are wondering. Sometimes it works better than others at times. I wanted to formally introduce myself to you. So, yes, I'm your guest today on Story Species, Story Medicine. There's much, much, much to be said about me. I would absolutely love to know more about you, Dragon Dreamers, what you're up to these days. My website, one website to rule them all, and I've got Buy Me a Coffee. That's a really great place as well to keep you in the loop. Information about upcoming conferences to come. All right, so the Akashic Records. Wow. So the Akashic Records are not a permanent record. Your past never defines you. And I like to assert that contracts are intentions. And the best intentions are never ever set in stone. You are never ever bound to anything. Already, I'm getting passionate. I can feel it because I know what it's like to be inhibited by false inhibiting beliefs. And it wasn't until I became a hypnotherapist that I learned all about the rules of the mind, which are so frustrating initially to learn about because they all cancel each other out and contradict each other. And I'm telling you, Dragon Dreamers, once you get to know the rules of the mind, then you can understand how manifestation works, how your thinking works, the very deep, deep, deep subconscious programming that we have, and all the interconnected layers. I would like to help you know your value. That's what I specialize in. And so I'm always highlighting that humanity is fundamentally a storytelling species, and that telling stories is actually our medicine. We heal with medicine. And so what can kill you can heal you. And what can heal you can kill you. So if we can find balance, right? Because every single thought that you have is followed by an emotional reaction, which is then followed by a chemical biological reaction in your body. And that's where this business of creating ailments or healing yourself comes from. We also create ailments for others, and we can also inspire the healing of others through the power of epigenetics. Epigenetics, very briefly, that means the environment around you. And let's not kid ourselves. When you are in a toxic environment, that negatively impacts you. When you're in a positive, uplifting environment, it's not a coincidence that you tend to be on a positive, uplifted note. You don't have a perfect life by any means by having that positive epigenetics, but it does help. So I want you to know that you are the author of your story and that you really can change your thinking to change your life. And the power in anything is really master for 20 years, and now I'm specializing as a master energy medicine practitioner and hypnotherapist. Not just any hypnotherapist, I was trained by Marissa Peer in rapid transformational therapy, hypnotherapy, and she's very passionate about simplicity. That's where I got it from. If it's not simple, I don't want anything to do with it. And I'm focused on a results-driven practice. I do lots of things. So you can check out my website, buy me a coffee if you want to really take the deep dive and make change. So I offer mind reprogramming, safe extractions of intrusive entities, and my one-of-a-kind gemstone readings are also available for those who are booking private memberships, which are complemented by the Dragon Dreams Oracle, which I'm excited to share with you. I won't be pulling cards today, but I will pull 3 on behalf of the collective. Today is just a day where I'm celebrating this with you. So I want you to know that you can step into your own authority as the master scribe of your Akashic record. That is your birthright to be. And nobody has any business messing around with your Akashic record other than you. And I'll say it again, your Akashic record is not set in stone. It is by no means a permanent record. So I'm also the visionary and creator of Project 30, Isis Unity Consciousness. I'm the one behind the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective, and like many of you tuning in, I'm on my own quest for answers, and it's important to me now to create safer spaces in honor of the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective, and that starts with our first conference coming up. So make sure you check out the dates, Gina, Virginia, Casella.com. I got it there. Should be in the description, and I also put it there in the chat. And one of my favorite questions to ask people is, did you have a dream, or did the dream have you? Right. Did you have a thought, or did the thought have you? And so I'm very passionate about all of these questions. So who the hell am I, right? Like, I'm nobody different than the next person telling a Bigfoot story. There's so much to be said about me. And there's always lots going on. So today, I'll show you a picture here, the Dragon Dreams Oracle. I'm going to tell you about that. Here's a picture of my books. So this is what's interesting, right? These have a way of coming together. So back in 2021, I started dream journaling. I was already journaling and whatnot, but it wasn't really until 2021 where it became an everyday practice. And that everyday practice, it didn't matter if I had something to report out or not, just whatever was on my mind, I wrote it down, positive, negative, indifferent. I had my pencil crayons to decide. If I felt compelled to grab the color orange and just do a scribble, then I would do that. I don't know what it means, but I would just do that. And sometimes I would write for just pages, and I would dream, and it was like a TV show inside my dream life. There would always be a continuation. And before I knew it, I would be dream journaling for 4 to 6 hours easy, for 4 to 6 hours in a days in a row. And it was getting a bit intense, and it was really beneficial to help me with my thought organization. And one thing led to another. There's much more to this story as well. Hi, Anchor Haven. I see you in the chat there. There's tons more to this story, but the focus of me today sharing this with you is just in the process of how the Dragon Dreams Oracle manifested. So I want to show you something, because then I want to sit down and take all my stuff out here. But okay, so it's a bit heavy. Okay, so this suitcase right here is full of dream journals that I still have to publish. And for the past year, 2 years, I really haven't dream journaled because I've been just publishing on the spot everything. But inside here, I've got binders, and then I've got a mixture of special booklets. And yes, I had to number them all. keep track of it. And so I published 8 books. It was supposed to be one book, and all of this manifested. I have a lifetime more to publish. And the first 4 books in particular, let me just get this out of the way. Ugh. The first 4 books in particular was intended to be one book. And my life took a real hit. My health took a hit. I had to take a leave from work. It's a really long, shitty, negative story. Um, but I thought I was going to die. And arguably, I did die many, many times over. I was in excruciating pain. My bones, in particular, can feel really warped. And interesting dreams informed me that that was actually a persecution that I faced because I used to be this goldfish dancing on land. And oh man, that was a blissful life. And um, ET folk came wanting information, and I wouldn't give it to them. And I just played dumb, don't know what you're talking about. But in truth, I really didn't know what they were talking about. Like I knew what they were talking about, but I myself didn't have the answers, right? And I also was protecting other ET species and non-ET species here on planet Earth. And that story's captured, it's kind of strings throughout the series here. And so, to make a long story short, they threw me on the land and I dehydrated. And what's interesting is a long time ago, sea and sky used to be one. So when I was this goldfish, I was indifferent. I would be like flying up in the sky, but from my perspective, I was just swimming in a different part of the ocean. And when sea and sky separated, it was really traumatizing because it separated the species. Like some species had to make a decision. You were either a water species or a land species. And then folks like myself and reptilians like frogs and turtles, it was confusing because we were these in between folk. We could be on the land and we could be in the water. Oh, I walked, by the way. So I didn't have legs as a goldfish, but my 2 little fins were like 2 little mini feet that I would walk on, and I would bounce around and roll around on the land. And anyways, as time went on, because I was like super ancient in this lifetime, as long as I was around moisture, I could survive. So just being around trees or other animals, and I would push my luck because I recognized that I was alchemizing and evolving, and I wanted to know, like, how long can I stay out of the water, and how far can I go? And um, again, to make another long story short, I started to become friends with nature and the animals. And so if I was starting to get a bit dehydrated, they would just come and hang out with me and breathe around me. Um, but at some point, I needed to get back in the water, and these ETs, they wouldn't let me back in the water. And so I dehydrated, and my body warped because of the dehydration. And so that feeling was that feeling that I was feeling when I thought I was dying in this life multiple times over. And every now and then it happens again. It comes in waves, and that's the association. That's a really disturbing story. Hi, Starseed Lolo Music. Good to see you today. And this business of being a goldfish dancing on land, it provided me with insight into past lives and false inhibiting beliefs and programming from other, like I mentioned, past lives from like super, super ancient long time ago that are still impacting this life. And as frustrating as it is, whatever we have going on with ourselves, positive, negative, indifferent, it's all high quality items. So even if there's something about you that you really don't like, or there's like a pain that you experience, like I was experiencing pain with my bones, those are perceived as high quality items. And we're supposed to live in a place of impermanence. We shouldn't be clinging to anything. And so I've been clinging to a lot of things from past lives. And my past lives, they wanted to die consciously. So they were like, the next life, remember this. But then I I didn't remember it. It was just wisdom that was very deep within me because, as you know, these kind of conversations weren't safe to have, right? So I thought I was dying. And if there was one thing I was going to do, it was publish those dream journals. So I I was just feeling so overwhelmed, where to start. So my subconscious mind told me, why don't you just take the pictures that you drew and start there and create an oracle deck. And then you can worry about going into details and publishing books. Well, it didn't unfold like that. I had way too much to say. So, like this one oracle card that's on the cover here, it's a picture of a contract and there's a lightning bolt coming through it. Basically, these first four books are just about that one oracle, so it just, uh, I didn't know how. So I also had like no energy, full disclosure. Like I said, I really genuinely thought I was dying. And so I just took my dream journals and I was very exhausted and I grabbed my headset and I wasn't even wearing the headset. I was just like holding it, holding the microphone part and just like mumbling into it. And I would see like Microsoft Word typing what I was mumbling. And sometimes, like, I guess because I was mumbling, it wasn't getting the information right, but it was the best that I could do. I felt really hypersensitive about getting an editor. I didn't have any money to pay for an editor. And it was really important that when I published my books, that my name was on there and nobody else. And I was also concerned that, like, because I didn't know any editors, I didn't have any relationship with anybody who could really do justice to my books. I didn't want to, I was afraid to be exploited. I was afraid that the editor might want to change around my story to make it more interesting. Like, I just wanted to present it as it was. And so I felt really insecure about publishing these books without an editor, that I didn't want an editor. And because I was a public school teacher, I thought, well, geez, I better make sure there's no spelling mistakes and the grammar is all correct and whatnot. And I even thought about going that extra mile and getting quotes and stuff. And it is what it is, how it unfolded. And I quickly realized that this whole process and my dream life, I mean, yeah, I'm the hero in my hero's journey, right? That my story is so relatable that anybody can take my content. Doesn't matter if it's my books or the oracle, and you can totally see yourself in the story, either as the actual me in the story or as the other archetypes in the story. So there's lots of archetypes in these books: Manus, Polaris, Amanda. You have your own version of Manus, Polaris, and Amanda, and all the other folks. But what's interesting is we also share, just like in a family tree. Like, if we follow the family tree, at some point we have the same grandparents, right? I believe that concept applies to spirit guides as well. And there's a lot of mixing and matching that I can't even speak to. So I've never been so open in my life. And I'm no different than the next guy telling a Bigfoot story, which is why Story Species, Story Medicine, and the upcoming conference, the Continuum of Conscious Evolution conference series, is so important and dear to me. And by the way, I put a little link there for the promo video. So it wasn't until, so I wanted to publish one book, but it turned out to be four. I felt much better after I published it. I just felt like $1 million. Even if nobody bought my book, just the fact that it was out there, woo, huge check off my list. And I was really inspired by Eckhart Tolle because he talks about the present moment. And I'm all about the present moment, right? And I didn't realize how down in the dumps Eckhart Tolle was at one point in his life. And just listening to his story, and I was surprised when he was sharing out that when he published his book about the present moment, I don't remember which book exactly it was. It was just like the first one he ever published. And all he got was backlash. Like, let the man publish a damn book, right? But people discouraged him. People were like, oh, there's already books out there like that. Oh, if you want to make money, you're not going to make money off of that. And he's just like, if there's one thing I'm going to do before I die, I feel compelled to publish my story about practicing presence and what that means. And he was very, very adamant and very insisting that had he died and not published his story, he would have died unsettled. And that was the punchline. I was like, oh my God, because I feel like I'm dying, not right now, but at that time. I thought, if I don't publish my dream journals, I'm going to die unsettled. Like, the best case scenario is they're on Amazon now and you can buy them and they are selling. So that's awesome. But I felt unsettled that they were just going to continue to sit in my suitcase. And what was I doing with those dream journals? What were my intentions? Was my intention to have a big giant shelf with all these like notebooks and stuff of my dream journals? And at what point am I going back and alchemizing that? So that's part of the power of dream journaling too, not just writing it and throwing it to the side, but writing it, going back, checking your goals, having something that you're continuously working on, right? This is part of alchemy. And then at some point you can toss away that dream journal because it doesn't apply anymore. But it's handy to keep things handy for the sake of patterns and symbolism. Because going back to how I started this, if I just felt like taking the color orange and making a circle, I don't know what that means, but there you go. Just the fact that I did it, I was able to eventually get enough images that I could create an oracle deck. And now I have images to play around with when it comes to social media and marketing, which is where I'm at right now. So I'm really excited about how things are coming together. So later on that year, I published these the spring of 2024, and then the fall of 2024, I published the next four. And like I said, there's a lifetime more coming. Book 8, actually, book 7 and 8 bumped the line because I'm committed to publishing the rest of that suitcase. And really, these stories should have waited. But that's the thing with me. I just keep getting the downloads. So even though I have intentions to do this, the subconscious mind is redirecting my focus. And it's really funny and novelty because as you're reading Sacred Phoenix Heart, there's a lot of times I comment in here. It's like, I feel like I'm getting done writing this book, but another download comes again. And it's like, when is this going to end? And um, on a physical, literal level, I'm getting tired, right? Of like all this downloads that's going on. And in the book, it's funny because my spirit guides are like, just keep writing. Don't worry about spelling or if it makes sense. And you know what? Like, as a public school teacher, that's what I say. Don't worry about spelling or if it makes sense. Just get all your ideas down. And so it was like there was that teacher in me was coming out. So it's really special. There's much to be said. There once or twice when I was on Story Species, Story Medicine, I read from the Dragon Dreams book series, and also so there's if you look at my YouTube channel, there's a playlist for Story Species, Story Medicine, so you can scroll back and find that. And also there's another playlist specifically just me reading from these books. So check those out. And that's another reason why I wanted to focus on the Dragon Dreams skull. So I think what I'd like to do is take it off screen share so you can get a better look. Let me just do that quickly. And if you're looking for a platform, oh, is that my dirty laundry in the background? Let me tilt this way. If you're looking for something like to host a show like I am, I really like StreamYard. I'll just put my information there. You can save some money. So the Dragon Dreams Oracle. This is what it looks like. And there's much, much, much to be said about the imagery. So, something that was challenging when I actually went to publish these is a lot of the cards are horizontal like this, but then the image was too small, right? So I had to go like this. And these images, um, some people told me straight up that it looks like a little kid did it, and they were very discouraging. They were very open about how it didn't resonate with them. And I'm just like, and don't fucking pay attention, right? Like, this is for people who it resonates with, and nobody likes to be judged. But the thing is the child within drew these pictures, right? These pictures were drawn by mostly age 7 Gina. So age 7 Gina is a very powerful archetype throughout the Dragon Dreams book series. And it's like like three faces to a flame, this kind of language and mythology and whatnot. So I've got like age 7 Gina, age 4 Gina, and age 14 Gina. They're like the main triangle, if you will, of archetypes. And then I'm the adult Gina represented in this life, and we connect. And then there's another representation of me where I'm this empress in the pine tree forest. And so the adult Gina and my teaching career, I have all these things to offer, my alters, if you will, and they have things to offer me too. And I remember when I first met age 4 Gina, I was quite concerned because she was like this 4-year-old hanging out with chipmunks. And I thought, oh my God, like, what is going on in this reality, right? But that that's very natural, normal in this reality, and you can't think of her as like a regular 4-year-old. Okay, so um, here it is. Okay, my suitcase knocked it over. So let's just go back to this here. Some of you might recognize this. So when I first was publishing the Dragon Dreams Oracle, my intention wasn't to publish it. I just thought it would be cool to have my own oracle deck, right? And so I had cue cards, and I started to draw pictures directly from my dream journals. And then I tried to write about it, but I ended up with this. So this got the back burner. But then I started to do gemstone readings, and one thing led to another. That's a whole other separate story. But one thing led to another. Oh, hi, the natural sentient. Good to see you here, Slavka. One thing led to another. And I thought, well, okay, I'm going to draw pictures and keep up with this oracle thing. Not really sure what's going on, just doing it for me. Simultaneously, I had the gemstone reading evolving. And then one day they just came together. I would do a gemstone reading for myself. It's a creation of my own making. And then I would complement it by choosing one card from the Dragon Dreams Oracle. And they always seemed to go hand in hand. It was meant to be. And then I just started offering it to other people, and it really resonated with them. I was very shy about it. Um, but, sometimes when you're talking to somebody and it comes from them, they start talking about gemstones, they start talking about interesting dreams. And then it's like, well, now that you mention it, I actually found some gemstones at the beach and this and that. And I tell them, and I'd say, I do these things, gemstone readings, maybe I'll do one with you. Where I used to belong to multiple meditation groups and spiritual communities, and we would be talking and people would share out, and sometimes I would get pissed off, or sometimes I would feel really intrigued by something, or I'd get excited, and there was just like this need for like a perspective, and I just found myself randomly like, well, what do the gemstones have to think about that? And I would just grab them and toss them and get information. And then the next thing you know, I'm participating in the chat about my gemstones, or I'm like randomly pulling a card from the Dragon Dreams Oracle. And so one thing led to another. And I just want to hold these up now in their glory, bring my laptop closer here. Or what's easier? I guess maybe it's easier if I just put them down like this. Okay, and somebody was asking me about my gloves. I can't see the chat right now, but I will check in with the chat. These are in no particular order. Um, I know you can't see them perfectly, but I feel like that's pretty good, eh? Okay. Um, so life goes on, and this starts adding up. And then I wanted to go live on a show, but I wasn't sure how to do that. And so Robert Khalil from The Typical Skeptic, I went on his show and started doing it. And then I got really great feedback from it, and it helped me build my confidence because, it's a thing to do this kind of stuff with people in general. But when you have a community that's into it, and when you're doing it in person, and then, when you're doing it online, it's very different. I'll just make two piles here. This is one of my favorite ones. I don't do stupid anymore. And all of these are based on my real life, real dreams, half remembered, half misunderstood. Not one of these is a coincidence. I can speak to every single one of these. So my cards, I started adding to them, adding, and I didn't even count them. But then at one point, I thought I'm going to have to actually publish these and take it to the next level because, like my books, I was starting to feel that unsettled feeling again, and I thought I got to get this out there. So I spent a lot of money laminating them because they were starting to get dirty. And I had this old cardboard box that was really handy. It was a bit of an eyesore. But that's the beauty about spiritual autonomy. You just grab whatever the fuck and you use it and you keep it simple. And that's the power and simplicity, okay? People who are just going online and buying something fancy, like it's nice to have nice things, but where's the real authentic energy and the home and hearth within the and I guess it's a pet peeve of mine and a little bit of jealousy too, because I don't mean to be jealous, but sometimes it's hard to watch other people who they just come out of nowhere and everything is so fancy and beautiful, but they're lacking in authenticity. Not everyone, but you know what I'm saying, right? So I was feeling that. I was like, oh, like I'm not fancy and I don't really care about being fancy. I just want to do this. It brings me joy, folks are resonating with it. So anyways, um, my my towel, this green towel here, it was merchandise that you could buy. I got to update my merchandise. The lizard lady picture is on here, but now just like a shaman's mesa, this towel, the green one, it's not a mesa officially because I only have like the one official one. It's orange over here there, but this one is um, like a mesa in the sense that at nighttime and when I'm not using my gemstones and oracle, everything gets wrapped up in this towel. And then it's like special energy. And it's part of me feeding the seeds and manifesting. I mean, I have to be my own guest multiple more times on my own show. and anyways, so life goes on. I get rid of the cardboard box. I start using this towel here. There's a lot more meaning to it. Now they're laminated and they're a real hit. Um, but I wanted to publish them before the end of 2025. I actually wanted to publish them um, like maybe 2 years ago now, and it didn't happen. And I realize now looking back, it's because I wasn't finished with the Dragon Dreams Oracle. So, like I said, I didn't count how many cards. I just kept publishing, and I don't think it's a coincidence. There's 91 cards. And some of the cards they kind of sound the same, but there's something special in there that distinguishes them. And then some of them they sounded too much the same, and so I just like ripped it up, discarded. Some of them I redrew the picture, so it was like a combination of the cards. And that was an interesting process in itself. Was just really honoring what I was feeling and not challenging it and honoring that even though these cards were initially made for me, that when I publish them and when I'm going on talk shows, like I've been on Slavka's show, The Natural Sentient, doing this as well, um, people start to resonate and they start to get to know the cards. They start to get to know the archetypes. They get to know the routine. And that's where I'm at now. Um, so these are the original. And yes, each one is stamped with my sacred stain. What's that? It's my period blood. So I was studying Ruins for Transformation by Kadrick Olson. Great, great book. I mean, out of all the things I had to get rid of, oh man, I was clinging near the end. And thankfully, Kadrick Olson's book, Ruins for Transformation, I was able to hang on to that because there was so much meaning in his book. It's not just a book that has a beginning, a middle, and end. It's a book that um, it's like a learning book. So you have to read it, take a step back, think about it. There's guiding questions that he provides. And he talked about back in the day when people would make their own ruins. I'll just turn it back down so you can see the cards while I'm chatting. And Anchor Haven, Julia's cooking and listening. Are you making pizza, Julia? Let us know what you're making. I know Julia's got a pizza monster in the house there, and I love pizza too. So back to Kadrick Olson. So Kadrick Olson was sharing out about runes for transformation and really, really inspiring to make your own. And I thought, wow, like I'm in the process of making my own oracle. And ruins was something that I actually, when I was 14, I bought this beginner set. It had tarot cards, ruins, and a few other things. And I remember being very intrigued by the ruins. But anyways, I started cutting out cardboard and making my own ruins. And my intention was to stain those ruins with my period blood. Now, the cardboard, that was like my practice round because my intention was to get wood and and then make like a good copy, if you will, and then stain the wood with my blood. And according to Kadrick, folks did that kind of stuff. They would use their urine, they would use their blood. It sounds kind of gross, but it's really special. And there's a lot to be said to it. And at that time, also, I was getting older. How many more years are going to go by my childbearing years? And how can I honor myself? And there's a lot of thinking behind it. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to stamp my oracle with my sacred stain. And I wasn't sure exactly how to do it or when to do it. And last winter, around this time actually, I don't remember exactly when, but it was like late fall, early spring, and the goddess Bridget, Sheila Nagig type energy flowing through me, my own reflections, Kadrick Olson and the ruins, because I've been wanting to return to the ruins, but all of this got the attention, right? So um that goldfish dancing on land and the warped bone feeling was really getting the best of me, and I thought, oh my god, I'm dying again. And I wasn't. It was just that's how it felt. And so I thought, you know what, this may be my one of my last periods. Like I'm in my mid 40s now, and I was getting really heavy periods. And I thought, maybe this is like a last hurrah. And then I thought, well, I don't want to live my life by regrets. So if I'm going to use my menstrual blood to stain my oracle cards, I should probably do that. And literally, like that period, like I said, menstrual cycle, I very naturally felt very normal to take my cards, and I did like I don't remember if it was the full moon or the new moon, but that was another factor. And I smoked all my oracle, I get through the incense, put them over the candle 3 times. I do lots of special stuff like that. And then I scattered them, special words, and then literally just took my bloody tampon and was like, stamp off to the side, stamp off to the side. And I kind of felt like I was somebody famous back in the past, like this is my famous signature, stamp, stamp, you know. So and some of them are bloodier than others, but it was the same one tampon that stamped them all. And like this one here, I was hesitant, you know, like, do I just stamp it? Because initially, when I started stamping, I was being discreet, but then I started stamping it like right in the middle. And then I just didn't even care. It was wherever it landed, it landed. And um, so this here was um, when I first shared the revised Dragon Dreams Oracle with my sacred stain, I was surprised the number of women who messaged me completely disgusted. Like, you know, I can appreciate if like somebody who identified as masculine was like, oh, that's gross, you know, but for females, like, I just, you know, and honestly, like, I'm the unapologetic type. Like, I mean, I'm never going to be sorry or apologize for the way I think or feel as long as I'm being kind, safe, doing my personal best. And like, you know, these cards, I literally stamped them, they dried, and then I took them to get them laminated. So they're like sanitary in the sense that um, they're laminated. And uh, anyways, at this point in my life, I didn't really care about publishing them anymore. To me, just having this laminated copy was enough. And oh yeah, just being unapologetic, just to finish my thought. Um, so yeah, like I mean, I don't apologize for how I think or feel as long as I'm being kind, safe, doing my personal best, right? Um, but I will apologize if I dysregulate and if I'm rude to you, my tone of voice. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen to the best of us. And I will put my big girl panties on and apologize, okay? But when people are telling me their thoughts, feelings, and opinions about me and messaging me, even complete strangers, it's like, I've never even heard from you before, and why would I listen to you? But the point I wanted to make was I really sincerely apologize to anyone out there listening who might have thought just for a moment that I gave a fuck about your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about me. Because my opinion about myself is the only opinion of me that matters to me. And I'm the one who gets to have that opinion. This card here, the lizard lady, this is the picture on the green towel that I have. So at one point, I thought to myself, well, I'm not even going to publish the Dragon Dreams Oracle because for me, this is enough, right? And if people really want this, I'll just make them a copy, right? But to tell you the truth, these are just a bit big for my hands. Just put it back up here. Um, oh, and Julia's making goulash. Send me some. Send me some all the way to Canada. um, these are just too big for my hands. They're not physically comfortable to manage. And the corners, because they're laminated, they're very pokey and sharp. so I said to myself, I got to crack down on publishing, you know, and then you see, every time I want to publish something, I start experiencing tremendous pain in my bones. And so I know now, this is the sign actually to persevere. Um, so those are the original, and I just keep them here as a nice little souvenir. And I fantasize one day about tossing these in the fire, doing something special. I also fantasize about auctioning them off. I feel uncomfortable about that because period blood stain and maybe like DNA, and people are going to start cloning me. I know that sounds bizarre, but I think about that kind of stuff. But I think it would be really cool and special if somebody out there genuinely was, jiving with my energy and would genuinely appreciate something like this, because I don't like to think about it that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the biological one known as Gina will cease to exist, and these are going to be left behind. And I figure, before leaving them behind, it would be nice to figure out what I'm going to do with them. So I'm just wondering if anybody else out there can relate to anything that I'm saying. If you've published an oracle, what do you do with your um, original that you have? So now what I want to do is show you the cards. So I'll just put it down here. And it comes in a nice double tin container. There's a little booklet here with information. It was really hard to think of just one little paragraph to put on this page. I mean, basically, you need to get the Dragon Dreams Oracle and get the books, and then you're all good. But I realize that might not be realistic for everybody. And ultimately, you don't even need this book, because when I published this, I absolutely accepted fully that I might show you a card and tell you what it's about, but you might have some other completely other meaning that comes to you, or like maybe you're triggered by something, even a positive remembering. So initially, I was very hung up on this booklet. At one point, I wasn't even going to include it. At one point, I was going to include a big booklet the same size as this. So again, let me know if you can relate. There's some blanks because I thought it would be cool to have some blank ones for you to create your own oracle, or maybe you want to trade oracles with other folks. That would be really cool. And so all of the ones that I just showed you, um, I don't know if I told you this yet because I've been thinking about it, but there's 91 cards altogether. So 9 plus 1 equals 10, 1 plus 0 equals 1, and we are 1. And that's the main message of the dragon, is that we're 1. So as you can see, these cards are much more manageable for my hands. They're just like regular playing cards. You play crazy eights and poker and stuff. So these are, I just can't say it enough. They're bendable. And the gold, when I'm doing like my own personal spiritual autonomy in the morning, this gold writing, it just kind of like shines depending on the lighting. And the images, I thought about making them brighter, but you know what? In truth, these cards, there were different options. And one of the options, it's called eco-friendly herbage. And that was the most environmentally friendly option available, but at the disadvantage of the cards being on the dimmer side. And I thought, I want that because really, um, myself personally and other dragon dreamers, colors and lights can be intense for us. So it might actually work out that they're on the dim side. And then I think it's really cool because the herbo eco herbage, um, if you were to hold this up behind the light will shine through, and then it's interesting how the card looks. So, each card, as mentioned, is stamped with the sacred stain, but of course, it's a photocopy of that, right? Oh, it's just really cool every time I look at these to see those cue cards on here. And this one here in particular, binary codes, you can see right there, uh, like at the level of snake, when I took a picture, this this was a picture of the laminated version, right? So that is my camera flash. And initially, when I was setting this all up, I was cropping the photo to get rid of that as best I could. Um, that's why some of the cards are, the way that they're shaped, the way that they're shaped. But then all of a sudden, I got spooked for a second because I was like, wait a minute, there's a ghost in there. There's a spirit. So when you're looking at the cards, you might not notice right away, but between like the images and the vibrations and the colors, like it doesn't even matter what it's called or what the words say. You just receive whatever you receive. And when you look at it and when you start noticing like, oh, there's a spirit there, it just really adds another element to it. So that's the story essentially of the Dragon Dreams Oracle. And it's so funny because this one here, um, I just want to rest assure you that if you order the Dragon Dreams Oracle, you won't get this card. So what happened was I ordered myself, like I wrapped this up, ordered my own version, double checked the spelling and whatnot, and I realized that one of the cards I I doubled by mistake. So I took one of the blank cards and I gave that extra card to my mom to use as a bookmark or whatever she wants to use it as. Right now, she's using it as a bookmark. And then I just did a little scribble here. So I always have a laugh when I see this, and then I worry. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should reassure folks out there that if you order the Dragon Dreams Oracle, don't worry, they all look like this. You won't get this. And um, and this picture is really special, and I feel like talking about it now. And that's the rabbit hole that I fall down because I just every card I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite cards. Oh, this is a great card. And it's like ultimately all of them are my favorite cards. All of them have great messages. So life goes on, and I become a master energy medicine practitioner. And you know what's really cool? I didn't even know the master part was in there. I just took it for energy medicine, but I'm a master, so that's pretty cool. Not that titles matter, but after acquiring the shamanic training with the four winds, it really helped to empower me because I value education. I value doing my own thinking, reaching my own conclusions. I value turning to nature and learning what I need to learn. But then I really value having a mentor. And I value having somebody who resonates with me, but they're already like 500 steps ahead of me. They've already been there, done that. And so I really admire Alberto Villaldo, Dr. Alberto Villaldo, and his wife Marcella, because everything they do in the Four Winds greatly resonates with me. And in my dream life, this business of the wind can sometimes, well, not anymore, but before it used to be scary because that was the communication. The communication sounded like ghost noises. It sounded like growling noises. And then, oh, it's the dragon. It's the sound of wings flapping. It's the sound of the wind literally whispering, going through all the cracks and crevices and whatnot of the rocks and spaces and trees. And so the wind and the howling and this business of the elementals led me, to make a very long story short, to Alberto Villaldo and the Four Winds. And winds, that was the key word, because in my own uh, quest for answers, if you will, and making sense, all three dreams, half remembered and half misunderstood, I found that when it came to the elementals, at that time I was questing, well, what lineage is my like? Is it like the earth, the air, the fire, or the water? Like, what kingdom do I come from? If I had to narrow it down, like we belong to all of them, but which one? And the wind kept coming up. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's the air. But then it was confusing because it's water and air. Sea and sky are one. So I'm not water, I'm not air, I'm water and air. And the language in this modern day is sea and sky, and sea and sky are one, um, even though they're separated now. But even this layering, sea and sky, like the literal sea and then the sky above, but also our sky above can be perceived as the sea, and then outer space is the sky. So it's like sea and sky, sea and sky, sea and sky. Like it just continues on and on. So, anyways, I had lots of interesting dreams where I wasn't sure if I was a tree or if I was the water. I just knew I was part of this greater ebb and flow cycle. And those are some of the most harmonious, beautiful dreams that I've ever had. And the spirit guide's name is Toby. When I was the tree of life, tree of knowledge, we were huge, huge, gigantic. Like we were like one tree was the size of a neighborhood, and we were just back to back forest trees. And I was one of the big trees because I was just old, been there for a long time, and just ebb and flow. So need water over there, then the tree's root systems, we would adhesion, cohesion it up. Oh, dry over there, let's bring water over there. And it was just like orchestrating, kind of like musicians, like a maestro, you know. And like I said, I was confused. Am I the water? Am I the air? Am I the tree? And it's like, well, I'm everything because everything is one. And this image of the dragon is important because the the dragon is basically the earth, the air, the fire, the water, all the elementals, and the dragon is in a state of slumber. And at some point, um, the dragon transformed into gemstones. Like it has a gold tail. It's made of amethyst, and so um, that's why the dragon is always saying we're one, because we're one body that's fragmented and broken up. And this business of fragmentation, it's only recently that I started playing around with like the thinking, but fragmentation and multidimensional, those are not the same thing. So when you're fragmented, typically it means that you've been traumatized and there's a part of you that's spliced off. We call that soul loss. And sometimes the soul doesn't want to come back. And I can help you with the soul retrieval. It took me about 3 months to get my soul back, which might seem like a long time, but when you consider the greater, 45 years that I've been alive, what's 3 months in the whole existence that my soul's been alive, right? Like the biological one, known as Gina, is going to be 45 this summer. But the soul part of me is like super primordial ancient, right? So one of the problems I have is I have so much to say and it all weaves into each other. So it's like I've got one story and then I got another story and then I have a story about how those stories come together, which is why I'm a big fan of the Venn diagram and the symbolism, onion layers. And so I'm just really delighting in this process these days. Um, so what I would like to do now is I'd like to pull 3 cards and just to clarify, this is story species, story medicine. I've got my background off so you can see, and I'm just going to tilt it over, tilt it down. So something that I used to do is I used to do these for free just because I wanted to promote myself. That was very nice. But part of my shamanic training, they told us that there needs to be a payment, even if it's a coin. Somebody wants to make you dinner, that can count. So I do that now. But today for story species, story medicine, you don't need to donate. If you want to send me money, you can. But I'm not going to pull a card for you. I'm just going to pull 3 cards for the collective. And sometimes I pull a card, one to represent the past, like the wisdom, where you were, a second card, where you're at now, and a third card, where you're going. But let's just pick a number, 1, 2, or 3, and then that's the card that's going out to you. Okay? If you really, really are hung up on this past, present, and future, then fine, you can apply that. I'm pulling 3 cards either way. And just pop my flora here. If anybody out there is curious, I open sacred space every morning. It's part of my morning routine. Um, and then I refresh it with the flora. All right, my eyes are closed. I'm going to pick the first card. Ooh, this one's from the air. This one right here. Nope, this one. Oh, my gloves are too slippery. This one, card number 1. Trusting in the practical, blending spiritual faith with grounded preparedness. Trust the road, remember you share it. So what does this mean, right? So this picture here, you look at it, it's intentionally very dark and shadowy. And it's dark and shadowy because it's a night scene. So when you're driving your car and it's pitch black outside, all you can see is what's in front of you. And even what's in front of you, that light only goes so far. And you're driving so fast that, like, let's say a moose was crossing the road, you're still at high risk for crashing into that moose because when you see it, you see it too last minute, right? So this is reminding you, yeah, like trust in the practical. Like I was born in northeastern Ontario in Timmins, and every spring, every spring, somebody's hitting a moose or a bear because of this exact scenario. So, like when it's springtime and the animals are having their babies and bears are coming out of hibernation, when you're driving at nighttime, you need to remember stuff like that, right? So if you can plan ahead and leave earlier before it gets dark, that would be ideal. That's trusting in the practical, okay? But this is also saying metaphorically that, when you're driving, the road underneath you, it's not going anywhere, right? So trust the road in the sense of trusting in your process and what is coming ahead. I mean, if you're headed for a construction zone, that's one thing. But when you're driving your car at nighttime, you're not just going to woof, all of a sudden the road's not there anymore. Like, so that's what this card is reminding us of. And just because it's story species, story medicine, why don't I read what I actually wrote in here? This is Oracle card number 3, and it was chosen by the air. So that's for those of you who chose card number 1, or if you want to use it as your indicator for the past. Oracle card number 3. What did I write? Trust the road. Remember you share it. Ultimately, the message advises individuals to engage actively and consciously with their journey, regardless of the time of day. This includes acknowledging and connecting the energies present in the external environment, such as special landmarks or national parks encountered during travel, treating them as entities within whom one can communicate or acknowledge. The guidance concludes in a reiteration of trusting in the practical, tangible aspects of one's journey, such as ensuring a full tank of gas and the reliability of one's vehicle, thus blending spiritual faith with grounded preparedness. I'm glad I read this because there's so much to say, hence these books, right? But yeah, like a lot of people, they're not responsible, accountable. your car is on empty, you're running errands, you have to pick up your kid later, then you have to make it back to town or do whatever. At what point are you putting gas in your car? And you push your luck and you push your luck, then you're stuck on the side of the road because you ran out of gas and now you're pissed off at spirit? Like, that's the synchronicity, right? You keep passing by those gas stations, put some freaking gas in your car, right? Or make the decision to opt out if you can't afford. Don't take the risk to be stuck on the side of the road. So going back to that example that I was giving about like moose in the spring and bears. Um, but the part about special landmarks, I forgot about that because, when you're driving down the highway day or night, you have your routine and it just seems like there's always like one tree that seems to get your attention. Or maybe there's a house that you drive by and folks, they, have a beautiful garden, but it's like over there, that rose bush in particular, just really notice that. This card is inspiring you to reach out to that and treat it like an entity, personify it, personify the tree, personify the rose bush. Maybe you drive by, um, a farm and there's cows, but there's like a little area over there where, those cows in particular, they seem to I don't know, only you know. And it's easy. It's easy. So I did this. I would pass by. There was like a sign, so I knew like where I needed to turn, but it just seemed like the trees were like, over here, Gina, like this is your landmark. Don't miss it again. Because I would keep missing my landmark and then I would have to like backtrack 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm like, so I used to leave like really, really early for work for this exact kind of scenario. But then I started to just say hi to random trees. Like I'd be driving to work. Hi, how's it going? Coming home from work. Hey, good to see you. And so let me know if you can relate. Let me pull another one. That was card number 1. Okay, card number 2. Oh, whoa, I don't know. My middle finger and my index finger want to choose. Okay, the index finger. The index finger. Is it here? Here. Whatever this one is. Murphy's Law. This is a great card. Murphy's Law reminds us that we've all got Murphy's Law up our butts, even the ETs. So going back to the first card that I pulled, yeah, you need to have gas in your car. You can have everything perfectly planned out. It could be your wedding day, right? And then what happens? You drive over a nail and now you have a flat tire. Murphy's Law is up your butt. The concept of Murphy's Law emphasizes its omnipresence in life, regardless of perceived advances or perfection. The little guy here is saying Murphy's Law is up all of our butts. This is Oracle card number 68. And let me read to you what it says. I'll just put it there so you can see. I know you can't see my face. Okay. 68. And when I do Oracle readings, I typically don't read the book just because it's story species, story medicine. Okay, Murphy's Law. These are going to fall. Gina discusses the concept of Murphy's Law, emphasizing its omnipresence in life regardless of perceived advances or perfection. It suggests that despite our desires to transcend physical limitations and constraints, we are inherently affected by unpredictable events, akin to Murphy's Law, which states that anything can go wrong, will go wrong. This universal truth applies not only to individuals, but to entire civilizations, and even to broader planetary systems. Gina comments even the most advanced ETs and or universes still have problems which unfold no matter how best planned. A classic example is a flat tire. As we change, our interaction with Murphy's Law changes. For example, even if we never required the use of tires again, something else would take its place. For example, having a cell phone you can't use because you're out of range. So, Murphy's Law, first class problems to all kinds of practical problems. And that was card number 2, Murphy's Law. And it's something that I forgot to share with you too, but when I was reading this little booklet here, it reminded me. The summer of 2025, I really delighted in sitting down with the committee of the ones who listen, because I was like, I said to my spirit guides, I'm like, I gotta buckle down and finish this, right? So I did all the talking and recording. Just to rewind here, so I was tired of typing, and my arms were starting to bother me again, which was a sign that I'm on the right track and should be pursuing what I'm doing. So I said to the committee of the ones who listen, I'm like, look, you folks are the committee of the ones who listen. Why don't we have a committee meeting where basically we sit down and one oracle card at a time, I speak um, what it means and tell you. And so I did this on Zoom, and then I recorded myself, and Zoom recorded everything that I said, provided the transcript, and that's what I used to create this. And so it it's a really cool thing, because I manipulated the transcript, but I like how it puts me like Gina explored, Gina explained, Gina also expressed. And sometimes the wording in here, it's like Gina was expressing to her audience. Like, what audience? The committee of the ones who listen. And inside this book, I still have to pull a third card, but inside this book, I also ask you how you do oracle readings, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Let's pick a third card. So, okay, closing my eyes, and like my arm keeps wanting to go here, but then my fingers like bring it over here. What is over here? But you know what? It's my right hand. My left hand is like the right hand needs to choose. Okay, fine. Right hand. Right here. Is there a card here? Yeah, okay, there's a card here. This one here. And this is the earth. This one's coming from the right hand, so this is like from the masculine. The other two cards were chosen by the left hand. That's the feminine. This one here is one of my favorite cards. Halley's Comet and a New Matrix. Off memories, ways of knowing, and story medicine. So this is it's a scene from the movie The Adventures of Mark Twain. If you're not familiar with it, you've got to watch it. It's a claymation. I don't remember the name of the creators, but they made plasticine people and then animated them. And so it's like a cartoon claymation. And there's a scene where they go, the guy Mark Twain, he was born the same year as Halley's Comet, and all comets migrate. And so Halley's Comet is migrating, coming back now after however many years. And Mark Twain in this movie, he's like basically preparing to die, dying consciously. And he has a belief that Halley Comet, uh, they came into this world together and they're going to go out together. So he's chasing Halley's Comet, and these kids end up going on his ship and they go up right into outer space. It's such a delight. I feel like watching it now. I haven't watched it in a while. And anyways, uh, they finally see Halley's Comet. And so shit gets real all of a sudden, right? And um, Mark Twain's pushing all these buttons and they're picking up speed, and then off they go, and it's very exciting, but they just can't keep up. So Mark Twain tells the kids, start throwing everything out. And the kids are like, what? And he's like, yeah, everything's got to go because the ship is too heavy. They need to lighten the load. And basically, Mark Twain is dying. He doesn't need anything when he's dead, but he told the kids they could have the ship. He didn't say they could have. He didn't say they could have the things in the ship. But, anyways, so it's just this really exciting part of the movie, at least for me, when I was a kid watching this, because you see them, they come to the window with big loads of laundry, and it's all the laundry goes out the window. The table and chairs out the window, and then the grand piano out the window. But then there's the diary of Adam and Eve, and it's this book that they've been reading throughout the movie, and they go to throw it out, and it's like, oh no, not that. And so it's like, how come not that and everything else? And it's because don't throw away your memories, don't throw away your diaries, don't throw away your essence, don't throw away what makes you you. And they don't talk about Thoth in the uh, Adventures of Mark Twain, but it reminds me of Thoth because when I had to relocate, when I lost everything, this is what's known as the poof state. To Rosie in the background. And the poof state can be a really scary state because everything literally disappears and you don't even know what you're throwing out. You're just throwing things out. And this business of thought and alchemizing your thinking. And Thoth in my dream journals is a constant support. Like he came into my life and he's never left me. And he's a constant support and guide when it comes to believing in yourself, to really insisting that you're free and bound to nothing, and that other people will try to convince you otherwise. But ultimately, nothing bounds you and you have the freedom. There's much to be said about Thoth, but um, in one of these books, I'm going through a tough time and I'm having a conversation with Thoth, and we're talking about this poof state business, and he's explaining to me, like, Gina, everything is temporary, everything. And so I kept clinging to things even though I didn't mean to. Like it's one thing to get established, but in the perspective of Thoth, no, even getting established is a form of clinging. Don't cling to anything. You want to really live in the present moment. You want to be ready to die. You want to be ready to live. You want to literally be ready to up and go at any time. And for me personally, like I've moved around a lot, and for what it's worth, it's just too much. Even if I had the money to constantly be moving my furniture and packing things and unpacking things, like this has just got to stop. And so this card has a lot of meaning about that. And I'm excited to see what I wrote. This is card number 6, and I'll just tilt it down so you can look at the card while I read it. This is card number 3. It's the Dragon Dreams Oracle card number 6, but it's the third one that I pulled. So if you picked card number 3, this one's going out to you. And if you're like, I want to be one of those people, past, present, future, well, this is your future. This is the direction you're going in. So if that's you, then card number 2 will help you with this one. All right, Halley's Comet and a new matrix. What did I write? Drawing parallels with the movie The Adventures of Mark Twain, Gina highlights a scene where characters chasing Halley's Comet must lighten their ship by abandoning a piano to gain speed, including cargo and a grand piano to gain speed. Everything must go. The crucial element retained is the diary of Adam and Eve, which represents memories, ways of knowing, and story medicine, signifying what endures beyond material possessions. Gina recalls the energy of Thoth, insisting on leaving behind materialism, carrying only with you high quality items. This story captured in the Dragon Dreams book series. Gina identifies with this act of throwing oneself off the ship, symbolizing the end of an old matrix or existence, acknowledging a feeling of being wild, disconnected, and invisible during homelessness. In truth, the ship too would at some point have to be left behind as Mark Twain transforms as at the end of the movie, merging with Halley's Comet. And I'm glad I reread that because I almost forgot, but let's get my stylo here so you can see. But like, so there's the ship, and right here, there's like a cutout and it says Gina. Like, they're throwing like the couch off the ship, the piano, the lamp, the clothes, the scissors, the chairs, but also, you know, I'm being thrown off the ship. And this is symbolic of Thoth and hummingbird energy. For me personally, when we talk about like materialistic items, the biological one known as Gina, this very body on the literal level of snake, of atoms and cells and molecules, is someday not going to be around anymore. And my spirit will live on, but the spirit, no matter how badly it might want to, it can't cling to the biological one known as Gina. She has an expiry date. All biological ones do. So when Mark Twain dies at the end of the movie, he doesn't like die. He has like a twin on the ship. He's like the white twin, and then there's like another twin that's wearing black clothing. And at the end of the movie, they merge together. And this is like accepting yourself fully. At least this is my interpretation. Accepting yourself fully, like accepting the light part of yourself and accepting the shadow parts of yourselves, and really appreciating that the shadow part is the light part and the light part is also the shadow part. Because there's parts in the movie where this perceived negative twin, dark twin of Mark Twain's, um, you want to stay away from him because he's like mysterious or something and always hiding. But in truth, he's kind of like a guardian angel because he helps out in situations. So, hope you enjoyed that. Just gonna spritz it with my flora here. And I've been spritzing it with flora, my gemstones as well, since the summertime. Uh, like the original, I was doing it with my training with the Four Winds, and ever since I've spritzed it, it's like when I don't know if anybody out there can relate, but when I spritz it the first time, it's like okay, ready to rock and roll type energy. And then there's all this like humming and hawing and pondering. And then I just feel like, okay, like this is done. There's nothing else I feel like I need to report. And then when I spritz it again, it's like clean slate. I don't even have to mix the cards. It's just now they're clean slate again. And so I like that. So um I'm just gonna check the comments here. I've been neglecting the comment section. So this book here comes with the Dragon Dreams Oracle. And earlier, somebody asked me a question about my gloves. I have 6 pairs of gloves. So I bought 3 different styles, and I bought 2 of each. So what was this elastic around? Where did I get this? I don't remember. Maybe it was from the Dragon Dreams Oracle original, was it? I think it might have been. And you know what's special too is when this oracle came in, the published oracle, I was like, well, what am I going to do with the original? And I literally, like, I ordered something and I got this box, um, uh, which was this. And I literally was like, wait a minute, this fits in here. Like, this is way too perfect. This is synchronicity. There was some kind of like passing of the torch going on that I wasn't aware of. Like my oracle cards and my gemstones have both really taken on a life of their own since publishing. And the more I use them, the more alive I feel. But what do you want to say? I had a lot of conversations on the go there. I have a tendency of doing that. Sorry. Um, oh yeah. So my gloves, I have this pair here. They're long, so I like that. I can just bunch them up, whatever. And they're see-through and sexy, so I like that. And then I have another pair that's long, and they're uh, what's it called? Lace, um, like a lace design. And then I have another one, also lace design, but they're shorter. So I just use these for an undesignated number of times, and they literally just go in the washing machine, and I spontaneously use whatever other gloves that I have. These ones I've been favoring lately because I find I can cheat a little bit, and without taking my glove on, I can kind of use the pad. But I had to buy the stylo. It works really well on my cell phone, but maybe I just need to practice it with it more. I don't know. So uh, all my content is merging together, and so I've got multiple shows on the go. This one is focused on story species, story medicine, and on that note, why don't I put my background on? And again, if you're looking to upgrade, check out my link in the comments because StreamYard is really user friendly for that. There you go. There's my background, story species, story medicine, extra strength. And let me just check the chat here. I don't see any new comments. And Julia, let us know how your galosh is coming out here. And there's different variations of galosh. And so let us know what you are making. I love food. I love to cook and spend time in the kitchen. I was aiming to be vegan. It was a really challenging process just with me moving in with family, people having different diets. But I strive to, if I can eat vegan, then I eat vegan. If there's vegetarian available, then I eat vegetarian. If the only thing to eat is meat, then the only thing to eat is meat. But once I get my own place again, Rosie and I, hopefully this spring, summer, we're going to be moving, not sure where, somewhere warm. And and that's going to be the thing, transforming fully into that lifestyle. And I'm wondering if anybody out there can relate. So that's all I have to share with you for today. Dragon Dreams Oracle. There's way too much to say. I hope that today's story, Species Story Medicine, gave you a good introduction. Those of you who are not familiar with me, make sure you check out my website, ginavirginiacasella.com. One website to rule them all. Buy me a coffee. It's free to follow me. So get in on it, Dragon Dreamers. Follow me on Buy Me a Coffee because then it defaults you to getting the emails. You default to getting the information. And I also lovingly invite you to check out my YouTube channel because I've got lots of free resources, lots of free content, and there's multiple playlists. I'm striving to stay organized. So there's a playlist just for story species, story medicine, and the guests who come onto Story Species, Story Medicine are published authors. And if they haven't officially published their book yet or their oracle, that's okay as long as it's in the making. that the guests on Story Species, Story Medicine, they're medicine bearers because they're sharing information about themselves that wasn't safe to share before. So this is what I call the confused warrior, and that's, you can bet, part of the Dragon Dreams Oracle, where we stay small to stay safe. We don't rock the boat. We, don't speak up or advocate. And this is traumatizing for the warrior, because the warrior knows toil. You go forward and basically you die in the name of trying to save others. So stay small to stay safe. Don't rock the boat. The warrior does not understand that. It's very confusing, very traumatic. And what the warrior ends up learning is you need to stay small to stay safe at times. There's times where no, you don't rock the boat, because this is all part of the strategy and the bigger picture. And when it comes to, warrior themes, strategy is very big, right? You always want to be able to be spontaneous, but you always want to have some strategies. And so it's okay not to carry the whole entire world on your shoulder, is part of that message. You can't. And all of us have to share the workload. And so the confused warrior becomes what's known as a wisdom keep. And typically the confused warrior learns the hard way because of all the trauma and confusion that comes with this. The confused warrior is learning that you can speak your medicine, but then you'll be persecuted. So if you're dead, how can you can't share your medicine, right? So we learn to do things in secret, and that's what folks have been doing forever. And staying small to stay safe, like people practicing their full moon magic, for example, very top secret, even though it might not seem like a big deal. But if somebody caught wind of what you were doing, you could very well be canceled, cultured out by your community. And we all need community. It's part of our survival. So this business of who will the mob come for next is very scary. And it's the warrior that will stand in front of you and say, okay, there's a mob, come after me. Mob, I'll take care of you. But then the warrior ends up getting in trouble. So the warrior learns to stay small to stay safe. And I learned that was me. I was the confused warrior. And then I became a medicine bearer. I have all kinds of interesting experiences. And eventually you become what's known as you become a wisdom keeper. And then eventually you become a medicine bearer when you can actually speak your truth. It doesn't mean life is perfect. It doesn't mean it's completely safe, but it's definitely much safer than it used to be. And it's also confusing because you realize the very community and epigenetics are not in right relationship with you. So you go through these stages. This is all part of our hero's journey, and I'm quite passionate about it. So I always have lots to say. If you're interested in being a guest on Story Species, Story Medicine, Extra Strength, reach out to me, yours truly, Gina Virginia Casella, and you can easily find my information on my website, ginavirginiacasella.com. Oh, and I wanted to remind you about the free Facebook group, the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective. I do a lot of cross posting on there from Buy Me a Coffee, and I'd really like to see the member engagement increasing, people taking pictures of their dream journals, especially with our conference coming. We've got candle hype. I got my candles here. So thank you so much, Dragon Dreamers, for taking an interest in Story Species, Story Medicine, Extra Strength. And because we're a story species and stories are our medicine, I lovingly invite you to share your stories right here with us, because We see each other's reflections and protections. You are not alone. The supernatural is very natural. The paranormal is very normal. And the only thing strange about high strangeness is that we think it's strange. Now I just feel like hanging out with you all, reading from my books and stuff, but I do need to get on with my day. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And um, I'm brain farting it out. There's something else I want to tell you. What else do I want to tell you, Dragon Dreamers? What is it? What is it? Um, oh, I know what it was. Um, Depending if you're catching the replay, it might not apply to you, but this Friday, the last Friday of the month, every last Friday of the month, I go live 11 a.m. Eastern for Dreaming with Gemstone Gina. So this is all part of the fundraising and creating hype in the name of Project 30, ISIS Unity Consciousness. And on that note, I'm working with pole energy. So check out my website, ginavirginiacasella.com. Check out Buy Me a Coffee. It's free to follow me. Get in on the emails. Get in on my YouTube channel. Listen to my stories. Let me know how you're thinking and feeling in the free Facebook group, the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective. And I'm very much looking forward to all of the hoping and dreaming and healing and feeling that we're going to do at the first ever conference that we're having, the Continuum of Conscious Evolution series. The continuum of learning is where it's at. And it's right here with us in our collective. So, anyways, I always have so much more to say. And I wish you a very, very well day. Take care, Dragon Dreamers. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.